Hey everybody, I am Donna E. Knight and welcome back to my channel on having a healthy mindset. And today we are going to talk about being yourself. This is not a common topic. I don't think a lot of people are talking about this topic, but I think it's very interesting to explore the subject of being yourself and what it means to be yourself. So thank you for joining me today, and we'll be right back. Hey, I want to invite you guys to like and share this video. When you get to the end, watch it all the way to the end, and I want you to share it with someone, and I want you to like the video, and you can also leave a comment if you have any comments that you would like to share with me or with the audience. You guys can also follow me on all social media sites at Donna E. Knight. That's on Facebook and also on Instagram. So I was having a very interesting conversation with my 9-year-old about being yourself. And I was telling him that I was going to do a YouTube video about being yourself. And he said, well, I got a lot of interesting topics I would like to talk about on that. And I said, you do? I said, what would you like to say about being yourself? And he was like, well, I know that when I be myself, a lot of people don't like it. And I thought that was a very interesting comment for a 9-year-old. Because whether we realize it or not, we all face that challenge as we get older. And as we change the groups that we hang around, we all face that challenge to a certain extent of being ourselves but feeling like we're not accepted. So being accepted is something that everyone wants to be at some point in life. You know, even, I don't know, it's something within our nature that makes us feel this yearning to want to be accepted in groups. We want people to like us, we want people to accept us, and that intensifies as we get older. We feel the urge for more and more people to accept us or to like us. A lot of that has to do with the way that we are conditioned or the way that we are trained from birth. We're trained to be uniform. We're trained to think the way people want us to think. We're taught what is right and wrong. And these are universal laws that have been accepted and never really challenged. And you just kind of fall in line with those laws. Well, not really universal laws, but just laws that created by mankind. And you kind of just fall into line with those laws, and you're taught those, and it's ingrained in you as to what is right and what is wrong. And then you develop this idea that if I don't follow these set guidelines, I won't be accepted and people won't like me. Not being liked and not being accepted is a very difficult feeling. You know, people don't want to feel lonely, and when you feel like you're not being accepted, you feel like you're alone. You feel like you have no one on your side. People outcast, people that are loners. You know, those are the people that when you're growing up in school, those are the people that are picked at or singled out when you're a loner, when you're by yourself. And so we're accustomed to being in packs or being in groups. And in those groups and in those packs, that's where you find your acceptance by these people that are in these groups with you. And so what happens is you often change or alter your behavior to fit the people that belong to this group or to this pack. And you practice that behavior so long that it becomes a part of who you are. It may not truly be you, but it's behavior that you have learned and behavior that you have adapted to, that it becomes a part of who you are. Now, the good thing about being a spiritual being is that we often know things that we are doing that don't align with our spirit self. You know, if you're hanging around a group of people, and those group of people, I'll give you a good example. There's a kid in the neighborhood that my children play with sometimes, and he goes through the neighborhood and breaks mason jars in people's driveway that he doesn't care for. Or, well, he says that he doesn't care for them, I don't know. And he breaks a mason jar in their driveway. So, like, you know, if they back out the driveway, they'll roll over the glass. Well, my kids play with him sometimes, and he's done this when they were playing with him. And then they'll run home and they'll say, we're not playing with him today because he's doing A, B, C, and D. So his behavior did not align with their spirit self, thank goodness. And so they had to disconnect. And so that is the great thing about being a spiritual being, because things that don't align with you spiritually, you find it very difficult to connect to. Now, what we do is when we feel this deep desire to be accepted, we will suppress that spiritual identification. We will suppress that spiritual feeling, and we'll go along with what the group is doing anyway. And then you feel this inner turmoil or this inner conflict because your behavior now is not aligning with your spirit person. But I mean, that is a great thing though, because that is how you know that, you know, God is in you. There's a piece of the Creator, and the universal abundant source is always dwelling within you, because it leads you where you're supposed to go, and it deters you from the things that you're not supposed to be a part of. So being yourself, what does it really mean? A lot of people define being yourself as, you know, being a free spirit, being able to do something and not caring what other people think. That's what we equate the definition of being yourself. I tend to believe that being yourself is a lot deeper than that. It takes a lot to break the mold of conditioning. And like I said earlier, you know, we are conditioned from birth to be and act and think how our parents, how people in our church, how people in our school, how they think we should act. We are conditioned from the time we're 5 or 4 or whenever we start kindergarten, preschool, those things. We are conditioned then to be and act how people want us to act. And if we go outside of that paradigm of what is deemed a good child, you know, we're given the title of bad. And so then you spend your whole life trying to live out these titles that were given to you when you were 4, 5, and 6 years old. And it's just, to me, it's just this vicious cycle. And it's going to take a lot to recondition how people think and what they believe to be this thing called behavior, and what they believe is a good behavior or a bad behavior. You know, so the idea that you're acting the way someone else wouldn't act is often deemed, you know, as rebellious or, like I said earlier, bad or what have you. And I believe that we really need to change that conditioning and that thought process, because we put a lot of stress on ourselves, particularly as parents, to try to get our children to think and act how we want them to act. I know it's frustrating on me, because I'm like, my daughter is nothing like me. And I have to remind myself that I have to accept the fact that she is who she is and is totally different from me, even though it's aggravating sometimes. But anyway, so, and that's why I really wanted to do this video, just to encourage people that, you know, just because, you know, a younger person may be watching this video, and just because your ideas or your behavior is not in the norm or the paradigm of what people, you know, deem as excellence or great, you know, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're not a good person. You are probably just being yourself. We come here with our internal instincts already in line. So your spirit is constantly trying to go after those things that it's supposed to go after while it's here on your life journey. And like I said, sometimes you spend a lot of time suppressing that spirit because you get around the wrong influence. And it's okay. The spirit has a deep, deep way of bringing you back to who you are and bringing you back to your center point, thankfully. So it has a miraculous way of bringing you back. And everybody's journey is different. Everybody's timing with their spirit is very different. But I want to encourage you to link in and tune in to that spirit so that your journey can become more profound, and your journey can be what it is intended to be while you're here on earth. Being yourself also means, you know, sometimes you have to forget about pleasing people, because pleasing people is an exhausting job. It is extremely exhausting trying to please people. And to be honest with you, it is never going to happen. You're never going to make every single person in your circle happy. I gave up on that a long time ago. You're either going to make one of your parents mad, you're going to make a friend mad, you're going to make someone in church mad. So you just really have to forget about it. And how they choose to feel and how they choose to think about what you do or what you say, that is their problem. And they let them deal, with that. So you have an obligation as a spiritual being to be true to who you are. You can't babysit other people's whims and whams and woes. You just can't afford to do it. It's gonna take risk, and like I said earlier, people are not gonna like every decision that you make, but you make the decision that you are comfortable with making. That's what you have to do. You have to go after who you are. Another way to stay true to yourself, or if you're trying to make an attempt, maybe you have conformed your actions for so long, you may not be sure about who you really are anymore. And that sounds worse than what it actually is. But it happens to me. I think that it happens to a lot of people. I think we spend a lot of time trying to be what other people want us to be, that we completely lose who we truly are to our core. And this video is designed to encourage you to return to that person. And there's just some slight sacrifices that you have to make. And one is being that you got to forget about, what people think. And you have to make and be brave and make decisions that are best for you. Spend time with yourself and being confident in being alone sometimes. Being alone is a very good way to bring you back to your center point. You have time to reflect. You have time to clear your thoughts. You can think about different things. But sometimes when you're constantly around other people or constantly talking to other people and getting other people's feedback, their feedback and their vibration is making an impression on you. And it may not be the impression that you need. So sometimes, just spending time to yourself can help you get back to the core of who you are. Because, I just choose to believe that genuinely people are good. Genuinely people want to be good. Genuinely people want to do the right thing. But like I said, you may spend a lot of time around bad influence or bad people. And then you just become this shell of yourself, and you start filling yourself up with all these other things from other people. And I think everyone's done that at some point in time, especially when you're younger, because when you're younger, you just don't have the wherewithal to stand up and be who you really want to be, when you're going through preteen and adolescent. Very understandable. But as you get older, you become more confident and you become more appreciative of your journey and how your journey is aligning. That, it's easier for you to be your true and authentic self. Another way for you to find who you really are, discover who you really are, is making decisions. Learn how to make decisions independently. Sometimes as we're younger, we may have made so many bad decisions as a younger person that as we get older, we become very, very afraid of making decisions. Like it almost makes us nervous, or it makes us panicky to feel like we have to make a decision. But practice making decisions. Simple things like if someone asks, what do you want to eat? Just practice saying what you want to eat. That sounds so simple, but that is so hard for some people that I've learned. Now, me with my personality, I've had to practice doing the opposite because I'm so strong and so dominant that I've had to make myself practice saying it doesn't matter. But I've had to learn that sometimes I need to say it doesn't matter. And that is like so hard for me sometimes because I'm such a forward thinker. Like, I know what I want to eat Tuesday. Today's Saturday. I already know what I want to eat on Tuesday. So, So I've had to practice like toning that down. And this is like an important thing here, because life is all about balance. Life is all about balance. Balance is one of the universal laws of this planet. And so in everything, you have to find balance. There has to be. And if you don't find the balance, the universe will find the balance for you. You don't really want the universe to find it for you. Just kind of practice doing it yourself. So things where you see that you're too strong or you're too forward, or areas where you see that you're too weak and you're not aggressive enough, you need to practice conditioning those areas. It's just like when you're exercising your muscles in your body. You know, some areas are stronger. Like if you're a right-handed person, hey Mason. If you're a right-handed person, typically your right hand and your right arm is stronger than your left hand and your left arm. And so, and they say, you know, if you don't want to develop dementia, that you need to have equilibrium so that both sides of your brain have equal exercise. So you need to exercise your left hand more if you're right-handed. So it's the same way with our actions and our behaviors. You know, in areas where our behavior is too strong, we need to practice pulling it back. So I have to do that. And so I'm encouraging you all in areas where you're weak, like making decisions, practice making decisions more, and that practice will bring you closer to who you are. You know, giving your opinion on things. And another thing that you can do to help you know, get to your core of who you are and becoming yourself is forgiving yourself for things that you have done. Sometimes we get so caught up in bad things that we've done, or we try to practice so hard making sure people don't find out about the things that we've done because we don't want to be embarrassed by it, that we end up carrying around this heavy weight of that. First of all, you are not the first person, nor will you be the last person to make a mistake, okay? So who cares if somebody finds out about it or whatever, because that person who finds out about that, they do not have a heaven or a hell to put you in, so it does not matter. So, you know, forgive yourself for things that you have done. You are not the only person who has done that, okay? And you are not going to be the last. So you don't have to walk around with that weight on your shoulders about that. You can let that go and you can forgive yourself, and that breaks down that wall that may be preventing you from being your true self. It's hard walking around trying to pretend and cover up and be somebody that you're not. That's hard. So go ahead and forgive yourself and let those things go, and you know, get to being happy. Being happy makes a tremendous amount of difference in your life when you're happy. We all have bad days. We all have days where we're not so happy, or we have days where we're tired, days where we don't want to be bothered, days where we don't feel like talking. We all experience that. We all have that at some point. But, you know, overall, your overall theme to your life should be a happy thing. And if it's not, you need to make it a focus. You need to make it a priority to find out why you're not happy, and so you can deal with that thing. Now that's another thing too, walking around trying to pretend like you're happy when you know that you're not. And the truth is, people can tell that you're not really happy, so you're not fooling anybody. That's the crazy thing. So being happy is a very key, essential tool. You know, as a mankind, as a human race, we generally spend a lot of time trying to change people. You know, we want all people to act how we act. And I believe that leads and alludes to a lot of frustration that we face as a human race, because we're trying to get everyone to be like us. It's not going to happen. The best thing to do is practice accepting people for who they are, not trying to change them, just pure, utter acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean that you agree with the person. Acceptance doesn't mean that you want to be like that person. Acceptance just means that you know and you are aware of how that person feels. You're aware of how that person sees the world. You're aware. That's what acceptance means. Acceptance means I understand where you're coming from. And it doesn't go any further than that. It doesn't go into trying to change, alter, or any of that. It just purely means acceptance. And to me, that would make things so much easier on us overall if people would just accept who people are. And then everyone can be their authentic self, you know, without having to fear judgment. So, you know, share your comments about ways that you're going to practice being yourself more, or share tools of, share your comments about, are you comfortable being yourself? And if you are, share ways that you have found comfort in being yourself. I'm sure people will find that very interesting, because whether we know it or not, there's a lot of people masking every day and trying to cope and deal with society the best way they can. And a lot of times it means not being themselves. All right, so that's it. Like and share Donna E. Knight on all social media platforms. Go and follow me. Share this video, like this video. I'm trying to get my followers up, y'all. So give me some help, please. I need your help. I need your assistance in that, okay? All right, I love talking to you guys, and I'll see you the next time.